Hello, my name is Núria. I'm a Catalan artist. I apologize, but my English is not very good, so I prefer read the presentation. After studying art at the University of Barcelona, I moved to Havana, Cuba, where I lived for 3 years and studied in the Behavior Art department under direction of Tania Bruguera, an experience that was fundamental in my training. And for that, I would like to publicly thank Tania. My research focuses on detecting the abuse of power that institutions who seek to govern us perform from the legality they have established. I am interested in art as a space that allows me to use illegalities and loopholes in order to transgress the established. Blind obedience to the law for being law, as well as dominant morals for being hegemonic, have to do with the imposition and not the argument. As the philosopher Marina Garcés would say, law makes it impossible for the society to reappropriate its funding, the ability to collectively transform our conditions. Morality and law enforce a pretended social contract that, because it's imposed, becomes an exercise in submission, an obligation to the authority. Today, I will be presenting 2 projects that are based on the immigration law. As you know, it's an exclusion mechanism that dictates who does not have the right to have rights. In Spain, not having papers, which is not a crime, but an administrative offense, means that the police can look you into a prison for immigrants, called CIE, and can forcibly deport you. In Fortress Europe, which is not the Europe of human rights, there are over 390 thieves. So, the first project is titled Humanitarian Aid, and I started in Cuba in 2008. In Cuba, there are people who want to leave the country for different reasons. Until recently, Cuban immigration law did not allow their citizens to leave the country, even if they had the money to do so. When I lived in Cuba, it was very common that Cuban men would try to seduce me, because being married to a European foreigner was the easiest way to get out of the country. It's also the direct way to not be an illegalized person in Spain and to have access to basic rights. In the project, I offered myself as a wife to any Cuban who wanted to immigrate to Spain. As the call said, Spanish girl offers herself as a wife to the Cuban who writes her the most beautiful love letter in the world. The basis of the competition indicated that I would pay all the wedding expenses, the plane tickets, and that I would take care of all the legal formalities so that my husband could leave Cuba and obtain a Spanish nationality. The rules also indicated that in return, my husband had to be at my disposal for any petition I asked of him until the end of our marriage. This point is what makes the link with the cynical title, Humanitarian Aid. And here we could discuss new forms of colonization if we had more time. So when I was walking through the streets and boys approached me, I would give them a card with the call. For example, these were some of the love letters. And this is the winning letter. A jury made up of 3 Cuban prostitutes selected the winning letter, and with it, my future husband. And he was the winner. And this is the first day we met, when I told him about the whole project and we started the preparations for the wedding. As you know, marriage is a contract between two people. Therefore, the day before we got married, we signed another contract that denied marriage commitments except what was needed for the bureaucratic paperwork in order to get his citizenship. We married in a gallery, and the visitors passed as our wedding guest, something that the notary who consolidated our marriage never realized. After the wedding, we had to legalize our marriage at the Spanish embassy, where you do a test to see if the love story is real or not. For them, we prepare a video with photos that we took in different places and with different clothes on. And this is the frames of the video. And we passed the exam. We received the family book, and then we were able to obtain my husband's passport and the visa permit to travel to Spain. While in Spain, I asked for two things. One was that he comes with me to the some openings to have evidence of our relationship. The other thing I asked my husband was that each day, from the day he arrived until the day we divorced, he would keep a daily diary. The diary is very interesting because it gives an account of false imagery that is projected about Europe. Last October, he was granted the Spanish nationality, and so we divorced in November. We signed the divorce with the director of the Banaba Museum, who, due to his high position as an institutional officer, could validate signatures as a notary. As indicated the first contract we signed, if I sell the artwork, the profits would be divided equally with my ex-husband. After finishing this project that had been funded with public money, I started thinking that as much as I had put my body for the project, assuming the consequences, for example, in Spain, marriage of convenience is punished with prison for the national. In the same way, also, cultural institutions could put their own body and position themselves politically. And in the same way that in the first project I had realized on the privilege that my European citizenship gave me, our institutions could also use the privileges they had as artistic institutions. From this idea, I worked on a project titled Too Much Melanin, curated by Joanna Barso for the Gothenburg Biennale of last year. I asked the Biennale of Gothenburg to hire Maria to play hide and seek with the audience. Maria is a political refugee from Kosovo. She and her family have been living in Sweden 10 years and still haven't got a residence permit because their application for asylum was denied 3 times. During these years, her status has varied between legal and illegal. She is legal while waiting the result of asylum petition and is illegal when it's denied, taking the risk of being imprisoned in a camp and deported. These 2 things have already happened to Maria and her family, but still they returned to Sweden, where again they were denied asylum. For these reasons, Maria and her family have lived 4 years hidden in Gothenburg. The only thing that I changed in the rules of the game was that Maria was always the one who hides and the visitors are always the ones who seek her. The completion of this contract facilitates Maria to obtain a job permit and allows her to reside in Sweden. Playing a given person in the game allows that she doesn't have to hide in her real life. Paradoxically, Maria was a police officer in her country, and here in Sweden she has been hiding from the police. Through this project, what interested me was thinking about the ideological turnaround that is happening in Sweden with immigration policies. Sweden has been historically admired for solidarity with people from countries at war or in conflict. But in the last years, the process of obtaining asylum has complicated, and it has become easier to get a work permit. It is moving from a humanitarian policy to a utilitarian policy, and this is the general trend of most European Union countries, where people are illegalized and the free movement of goods is legalized. In conclusion, I believe that art can be used as a space of freedom, being honest with what is real, even if it means going beyond the moral code, dismantling the map of what is possible, and rethink ourselves as a society, expanding boundaries, and in this way, going beyond what we are.
Nastya is going to translate my questions. Yeah, you okay?
I told you I had skills.
There are enough Spanish speakers in the room to know whether your translation is good.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay,
be quiet.
so,
I'm going to do my best.
So, thank you for telling us about those two projects. You're exposing racism in administrative practices. How much time do you have to spend as an artist working deeply within these? Do you have a group of lawyers that help you? How does it work?
Bueno, lo digo en español y me traduces mejor que intentarlo en inglés. Pues, bueno, no trabajo sola.
I work alone.
¿No?
Pero,
¿Ya?
pero como siempre colaborando pues con abogados que trabajan en movimientos sociales, muchos de ellos pues en la cuestión migrante también. Y bueno, a través de las colaboraciones es que puedo realizar los proyectos.
Even though she works alone, she collaborates a lot with lawyers and social movements that she engages with. That's how she manages to navigate.
Y bueno, todos los proyectos pues sí llevan como una pila de investigación a nivel legal para detectar las leyes y ver los agujeros legales.
All the projects she has to go through, all the legal loopholes. There's a lot of research that gets into investigating what are the legal parameters of what she's trying to achieve.
Para utilizar estos como resquicios, estos vacíos, para luego poder intentar subvertir.
She finds the gaps in the laws and the spaces that are there. She can use them to kind of subvert, the status quo.
And what's happened to your husband?
My husband, bueno, es
I'm
muy...
curious.
No, es muy curioso porque, bueno, le hice
No.
¿Ah, no?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
La entrevista, bueno, un frame que se veía era de una entrevista que le hice, igual que en el diario. Él decía como que muchos inmigrantes, si supieran cómo era la historia aquí, pues no hubieran venido, ¿no?
Yeah, a clip that you guys saw with her husband from an interview she did with him, and he was expressing that if a lot of the immigrants knew how it was really here, they would not come.
Yeah.
Y en función de eso, pues cuando nos divorciamos le dije, bueno, si quieres, pues busco una beca de arte para conseguir el dinero para el pasaje para La Habana, ¿no?
Yeah, and when they got divorced, she showed herself available to find a grant of some sort that he could go back.
Y al cabo de unos días me llamó que el pasaje lo quería para Alemania, no para La Habana, ¿no?
And a few days after, he rang her back and said that he did not want to go back to Havana. The ticket he wanted was to Germany.
Y ahora está viviendo en Alemania con una novia cubana.
He lives in Germany with a Cuban
Y ahí está.
fiancé.
Thank you. That's great.